Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So, even more spoilers have been spoiled, because that's what happens with spoilers, I guess, right? But yes, one of those spoilers very well might be the most popular card that we get out of all of these. This thing is, well, gonna be in high demand. It is definitely not going to be budget friendly. Let's jump into it. So, that card is Accursed Duneyard. In my opinion, this very well might be the most played card from the entire set and precons in all of Commander because, well, it's a land that you can just slap in certain decks that really want it. And it's not going to be hard to do so, although the price might be up there depending on, you know, demand, supply, that kind of stuff as well. Or, I mean, more so supply. There's going to be demand for it. All right, land that can tap for 8 colors. Pay to tap, regenerate target Shade, Skeleton, Spectre, Spirit, Vampire, Wraith, or Zombie. Okay, weird that they are bringing back regenerate, because, yeah, you, like, never see regenerate, like, ever. Like, ever. Like, it's a very old mechanic, and they're like, oh, wait, how about indestructible instead? And they basically switched that out, and then it never went back. Now, with this, obviously, it's a callback to, what's it called, Swarmyard, essentially, and that one more so deals with, like, critters, like, you know, squirrels, or rats, or insects, I think? Regardless, this one covers a wide range of things. Now, the first couple, you know, Shade, Skeleton, Spectre, like, how many of those, you know, extra creature types are out there? Wraith as well, like, there's not really a lot of tribal decks around those. That being said, Spirit, yes, we're getting there. Vampire, yeah. Zombie, yes, most definitely, yes. Like, basically those two, Vampire and Zombie, just cover so many decks when it comes to tribal decks. There are so many of them out there that this is going to be high in demand because, again, most of those decks typically are, well, if you're zombies, like 1 or 2 colors, usually maybe 3. Vampires, if you've got Edgar Markov, 3. If not, then you're probably 2 colors, maybe, essentially. But yeah, you can slap in a utility land like this and a massive utility land that this is into your deck quite easily. And here's the thing again, if you literally have a commander that is any of those creature types, and it is, again, a deck that is, say, 1 to 3 colors or so, it's going to be hard to argue against including a land that can just save your commander miscellaneously just by being on the field. Now, obviously, you need to limit the number of utility lands you have. You can't just have a deck full of all utility lands. I mean, I guess you can if you're in colorless, probably, but, like, you kind of need a little bit of a balance with these kinds of things. You can't just have a bunch of colorless decks in a deck that needs mana fixing. That being said, again, 1, 2, even 3 colors, yeah, if you got that and you've got a commander that's one of these types, or if you've got a tribal deck of one of these, again, Vampire, incredibly popular, Zombie, incredibly popular, and Spirit, not too bad. The other ones are like kind of like take it or leave it. This is going to be very popular, and again, very good in those decks, because it's just a get-out-of-jail free card, basically, for saving one of your creatures, most likely your commander, just for being, you know, a land that you just happen to play. It just doesn't, again, it's like Swarmyard. It sees so much plays in those decks that essentially, again, meet those requirements of the commander is one of those types, or is a tribal deck for one of those. So, in my opinion, this very well might be the most popular card from all the cards we've seen so far, and all the cards we might see in the set and the precons. That being said, a lot of other exciting ones, like Wizened Mentor, a 2/2 zombie cleric for 2 mana in white. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of a permanent that isn't a mana ability, you create a 1/1 white zombie creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Yeah, I mean, triggers only once each turn. I don't know if that's all that, not all that relevant, but is that really needed, Wizards? Like, can't you just punish players for doing that, I guess? It is a lot of value to be had, though. It really is. Like, we've got, what is it, Harsh Mentor. This is obviously a callback to that, where Harsh Mentor is basically the exact same thing, but instead of making a 1/1, it pings an opponent for 2, and I'm pretty sure that one isn't limited. So, again, I don't know why Wizards was like, well, we can only punish players so much by making so many 1/1s. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, this is very solid. Again, like, anytime they activate ability, it's not a mana ability, you get a 1/1. That's awesome. Like, that's just great, because that's gonna happen quite a bit throughout the game. I mean, like, literally, when it comes to these types of cards, just if you have a notepad on the side of the table and you're trying to think if you want to actually utilize this or not, just like, or just like with your phone, like, just keep track of, okay, throughout a game, how many times an opponent does that. It's gonna be a lot. So you can make a lot of creature tokens, again, very low to the ground with this. Yeah, for a zombie deck, if you've got white in your zombie deck, like a Arena deck essentially, then yeah, this is a very good card for it, because you can go wide super quickly with it. And again, of course, it is a zombie itself. Cleric deck, I guess, as well, if you really want to go about that. But yeah, token generator, this is quite good for the right strategy. Yeah, just look at your play group and see, like, okay, like, what are they playing? Like, what kinds of decks they have in? Are they doing abilities that aren't mana abilities? Probably. Moving on. Rhet-Tomb Mystic, a 2/1 zombie bird wizard for 2 mana in blue, flying. Each creature in your hand has cycling for 1 in a blue. Wizards, did you have to put the blue there? Couldn't we just have been like, you know what? Cycling for 2, and then I could make a fluctuator deck around this entire thing. Come on, Wizards, come on! I mean, still, quite fun that it is giving all creature cards in your hand cycling for 2. This reminds me of, oh gosh, there's like a red enchantment that does that for your lands, essentially, where you can pay like a red mana, essentially, to do that. Or I guess Trade Routes is an even better one of that, which doesn't mention cycling, but it's basically the exact same thing. This is a very good way to essentially be like, okay, yeah, you know what? If I need to ditch a card and replace it, I can. Especially for decks that maybe are Reanimator decks. Yeah, this can definitely be a card to consider for that. It's also something to consider, I mean, in general, for like, in a weird way, like a cycling deck, because maybe like every single creature in your cycling deck doesn't have cycling itself, number 1. Number 2, it could be a cheaper cost for you to actually cycle than the actual cycle cost of your, you know, actual cards. I mean, I'm thinking about Sheffet Monitor or whatever that one is, essentially. Like, that one costs 4 to cycle. It does see some play because when you cycle, it ramps you. But now it's just like, oh, okay, now it's like a rampant growth in blue for you, while also drawing a card as well. So, yeah, cycle decks, consider it. Any kind of decks that are, like, really creature heavy and utilize, you know, maybe some graveyard synergies as well. Or, again, Reanimator deck. Very cool. And also, again, 3 relevant creature types, especially zombie and wizard, of course. And sure, bird in there as well. So, yeah, I mean, tribal decks to consider as well. Moving on. We've got Renewed Solidarity. Enchantment for 3 mana in white. As this enters, choose a creature type. Already going to be popular just because of that. I'm just kidding, but here we go. Creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+0. Yeah, already going to be popular. I mean, this would not be all that good if it was just that, but here we go. Beginning of your end step, for each token you control to the chosen type that enter this turn, create a token's copy of it. This is going to see so much play. This is going to see so much play. That is quite the good effect. Again, it's just on your end step. Do keep that in mind. But think about, I mean, I'm thinking of like Feliz, Reverent Medium, whatever that one is. I mean, like, okay, like, not even just for tribal decks, but for decks that have, like, a commander that, like, makes tokens consistently. You're like, oh, okay, cool, let's just double that up every single time. Great, good for me. Or, again, obviously, if you have any kind of a tribal deck that includes any kind of token synergies, yeah, doubling that up is going to be huge. On top of this just being a decent anthem for you as well. Like, again, if you're going to have to boost your power or your toughness, I'd say 99% of the time, not 99, but the vast majority of the time, you'd prefer a bit more power than a bit more toughness. So, yeah, back in the day, right, we had like Gaia's Anthem and Glorious Anthem, I think it was the one in white. That one cost 1 white, so again, 3 mana 2, and it's like +1/+1. This one's like, oh, okay, just for specific creatures. I'm only giving you 1 power, but also let's just double up your token production on your turn. Again, for each token you control that chosen type, each and every single one, double it up. So, yeah, pretty crazy. I mean, zombies, soldiers, spirits, all the other things that are in white that make a bunch of tokens. Have fun with that. Gross. Next up, Prophet of the Scarab, a 3/4 zombie wizard with vigilance that's on a boat in the sands. For 5 mana in blue, when this creature enters, draw cards equal to the number of zombies you control or the number of zombie cards in your graveyard, whichever is greater. Yeah, that's going to be quite a bit for a zombie deck. Yeah, that's going to probably see play in a good amount of zombie decks. Zombie decks, again, like, have an absurd amount of cards to select from. Again, they really do. They've got so much support, and it's like, hey, do you just want like a mass draw spell like on a 3/4 vigilant zombie wizard? They're like, probably. Is it on ETB and not on cast? You're like, yes, it is. Oh, great, cool. Like, so I can like reanimate it back out of my graveyard and get that ETB again. Oh yeah, you can. Or actually, you know what? Even if I'm like just milling myself or to sacrifice a bunch of them or just have a bunch of zombies in my graveyard and I literally have this come into play, I still draw a bunch of cards? Yeah, you do. Oh, okay. All the great things? Yeah, sign me up for that. Moving on. Priest of the Crossing, a 3/3 zombie bird cleric with a sword with flying for 4 mana in white. Beginning of each end step, put X counters on each creature you control or X the number of creatures that died under your control this turn. Okay. Yeah, that's spicy. That's kind of like an opposite of a Cathar's Crusade, kind of in a weird way. Like, it's like the exact opposite, where it's like, oh, okay, cool. And again, it's every end step, not just your own. That being said, again, it is on the end step, so it's not like, okay, I sacrifice a bunch of things, and all of a sudden my creatures are super powerful, and I swing and win. It's like, okay, you got to plan ahead just a little bit, but still, like, if you're in, like, an aristocrat-style strategy, this can be a really good way to kind of have a finisher. And again, it has flying, which is nice as well, but yeah, being able to be like, okay, I sacrifice a bunch of creatures. My creatures that are around still, so you get a ton of power, essentially. And yeah, if you've got some power synergies in there too, it's an interesting card for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Under your control, keep that in mind. It's not like opponent's creatures. You don't get to keep track of that as well. Okay, moving on. On Wings of Gold. Enchantment for 4 mana in white. Creatures that you control that are zombies and or tokens get +1 to have flying. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 1/1 white zombie creature token. Okay, these, I'm just going to say this just as myself kind of off to the side. The way that these cards are worded sometimes, when it's just like, I know what they're trying to do, but it's also like, do you really need to specify that zombies also get flying? Like, I know you want to see a bit more play, but like, it's already a good card, you know, with just tokens, and it just makes it a bit confusing where it's like, all right, zombies, tokens, and of course zombie tokens, yeah, but no other creature types, no, but all the other creature types get it if they're a token. That makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. Okay. Yeah, this is a very good card for a token strategy. Not only giving you an anthem, again, we talked about earlier how, most anthems are typically around 3. Obviously, there are lower the ground ones like Intangible Virtue, which is 2, and it's specifically 4 creature tokens. That gives +1 and Vigilance. I would much rather have flying, no offense, Vigilance, but yeah, I can get some evasion there, or yeah, some better blocking essentially with that. That being, better blocking when it comes to blocking flyers, not just blocking in general, because Vigilance is good at blocking too, obviously. But yeah, being able to also pump zombies is going to see a good amount of play because, hey, zombies, cool, yeah, all right, pump the team and also get them through. It does both of that, which is huge for your zombie army because typically you're going to go wide with that or wide with tokens in general, obviously. On top of that, whenever you have cards leave your graveyard, you also get zombies, which again are basically 2/2s with flying, which is quite nice. Yeah, overall, very solid card. Specific decks obviously can really work well with like the 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, like a Reanimator deck is going to be able to do that. Flashback kind of cards, essentially. Exiling strategies, essentially, as well. Like the brand new Ketramos, or whatever the name is of that god. Yeah. But that being said, the focus of this, like, for the most part, is probably going to be that top part. And the bottom part is just like a nice little additional benefit for whenever it happens, essentially. But yeah, overall, gonna see a good amount of play. I feel like anytime you're like, hey, it's an anthem, it pumps my team, and it also gets them through. Yeah, sign me up for that if that's for my creature type or if that's for my, again, specific type like tokens, etc., etc. Moving on. Lost Monarch of Ifnir. We found him. He's right there. A 4/4 zombie noble with afflict 3 for 4 mana in black. Other zombies you control have afflict 3. And again, afflict 3, if you don't remember, because it's a not weird mechanic or keyword, but one that doesn't show up very often at all. And I don't know if it's very popular. I don't think it's been very popular. Whenever this creature comes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. Basically, you're in trouble if you do or don't block this creature. And giving all your other zombies afflict 3 is pretty crazy, actually. Beginning of your second main phase, if a player was dealt combat damage by a zombie this turn, mill 3 cards. You may turn a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is just all kinds of things. It's just like your opponent's going to have like an impossible decision when it comes to blocking. Again, like this is just like where if you're the zombie player, it's like, all right, I've got my entire team. Do I need to plan out my strategy of who I'm attacking? No. Swing my entire board and make them make the decisions, right? So yeah, essentially, again, if you have a bunch of 2/2s, like, okay, I could take out some of the 2/2s so I don't keep their giant army, essentially, but if I block the 2/2s, I lose more life than I would have lost not blocking them because that'll afflict 3. Most zombies are 2/2s, so I'm saying. I guess unless they have, a pump effect. That being said, also, if I got dealt combat damage again, a player, any player is dealt combat damage, hey, mill 3. Cool. Do it. Yeah. All right. So being able to just mill 3, get a creature card back from graveyard. So again, card advantage as well. Plus any other advantages you might have from actually milling those cards, getting access to them out of your graveyard. Yeah, that's quite good. So this is a very good card. Again, with all these zombies, it's just like, some creature types just get so many benefits, and like, hey, yeah, more benefits for that one. Yeah, zombies seem to be getting a ton recently, and a lot of good ones from this precon. Oh my goodness, zombie decks are going to get even scarier. Next up, though, we've got Veloheart Bike, and we are out of, actually, I believe, the precons. Again, if you can see now, the actual symbol has changed, so there you go. I believe I put these in the correct order, but anyways. 4/2, vehicle for 3 mana in green. When it enters, you gain 2 life, tap, add 1 of any color. We've got a bike that is also a dork. Cool. Crew 2. Yeah, overall, probably just for vehicle decks in general, like having a bike that is a dork could be helpful. But outside of that, do you really need it for any other things? Probably not too much, but do keep in mind that you can actually activate this dork right away, because it's kind of like a mana rock / dork, I guess, in a way, because, which we do have another vehicle that does that. But basically, yeah, being able to tap it right away for mana, because it's not a creature, so it doesn't have summoning sickness with that, unless you crewed it up, then it would. But yeah, being able to gain the 2 life, yeah, sure. I mean, I guess you could consider that if you're like a life gain strategy, too, that needs like a mana rock that sometimes is a vehicle. Moving on, we've got Bestow Greatness, instant for 3 mana. Target creature gets ++4, gains trample till end of turn. Limited card. Next up, we got Explosive Getaway, a sorcerer for 5 mana in total. Exile up to 1 target artifact or creature, return to the battlefield under its control at the beginning of the next end step, 4 damage to each creature. Interesting that it specifies artifact or creature. Interesting. I mean, okay, so this is like a mini board wipe, right? Like a medium-sized board wipe, I would say, right? Takes out medium-sized creatures to small creatures, saves your 1 creature, and also, yeah, gets you whatever ETB or, you know, whatever it is from it. It's interesting that it says artifact again, that it's like artifact or creature. Like, okay, I'm saving this artifact that wouldn't have been damaged by the blast, basically, if it's not a creature, so that doesn't matter anyways. And if it was a creature, you could just blink that anyways. Interesting. That being said, it's pretty specific, I'd say. Like, most times when it's like, I want a board wipe, usually you want one that, like, can guarantee that it takes things out. Unless you are in, like, a damage-based board wipe deck, then absolutely. If you, again, maybe have Fire Song and Sunspeaker and you, like, gain life from that stuff. Or if you, I mean, I guess you need to blink them, but you don't blink them. Anyways, yeah. If you have a specific kind of deck that's like, okay, I really care about getting my commander's ETB again or whatnot, sure, you could consider that. Or if you've got like a damage doubling kind of thing as well, or, you know, if you've got like a group slug type strategy, again, yeah, which gives extra damage, then maybe consider it too. Moving on, Tune Up. Sorcerer 4 mana in white, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If it's a vehicle, it comes an artifact creature. Interesting, actually very interesting for a vehicle deck because, yeah, it says it comes an artifact creature. Does not specify until the end of the turn, I don't believe. So, yeah, apparently you just turn that, unless I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below, but I believe that just because it says it comes an artifact creature, it would just always be an artifact creature that doesn't specify end of turn, so your vehicle is permanently an artifact creature. Cool. But yeah, it's just basically a reanimation spell, which the typical cost for that is 4, but it's interesting with a vehicle twist on it. And then finally, District Mascot. Look how cute! A 0/0 dog mount that enters with a counter on it for a single green mana. Pay 1 and a green, move 2 counters from it, destroy target artifact. Whenever this creature attacks while saddle, put a counter on it, saddle 1. Okay, here's a weird thing about saddle, and like about vehicles too, right? If the vehicle's quite small and you're like, Terastodon, get in that vehicle. Or in this case, Terastodon, you giant 9/9 elephant that is as big as a mountain, get on that corgi. Just like, okay, yeah, ride the corgi. Go for it. Yeah, magic makes sense. And then you put boots on the dog and it goes faster, right? Yeah, I mean, overall, though, outside of magic not making sense sometimes, it is a solid card for a counters-based build because it is very easily repeatable, you know, destroying artifacts for just 2 mana. That's quite nice and quite easy. Again, I mean, I'm going to say, like, when it comes to, like, oh, okay, do I need to keep attacking with it? Probably not. Like, I mean, it's nice early in the game, potentially, to get it out early, swing with it, get it saddled up, swing with it some more, get some counters on it. Great. But if you're in a counter-based build, you've got plenty of ways to get more counters on it. You probably have proliferate effects as well. Proliferate decks can definitely consider it, too. Yeah, a lot of different ways to essentially get a ton of counters on this. Also, commanders that, like, need, like, a tap assistance, I should say. Like, certain commanders have, like, when it becomes tapped, or if it is tapped, you get a benefit off of that, but they don't have, like, a way to tap themselves. Another thing to consider, again, for, you know, vehicles with crewing or, you know, mounts with saddling, obviously. So there you go. But yeah, this is a very cool card. Might not make a lot of sense, you know, well, lore-wise, I guess. Again, Terastodon, ride that corgi. Yeah, but it is a pretty solid card, again, for counter strategies. And I guess, yeah, dog tribal decks as well could consider it as well. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.